I know that the saying goes that there's nothing new under the sun, but sometimes we should just leave certain things where they were. Of course, I'm talking about the new Crow movie.
Starring Bill Skarsgård, FKA Twigs, and Danny Huston.
But of course, as you know, before we get into the review, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know when I drop the next reviews. So this movie, as everybody's talking about right now, is not a remake. It's not a reboot, rather a reimagining of the Crow comics. What's weird about that is that many of these elements, they obviously tried to pull straight from the original Crow film. And of course, I'm talking about the original 1994 Crow film starring Brandon Lee, and not those other random works of nonsense that came after. This one can pretty much also be thrown on the random nonsense pile. I won't say that it was trash because it was mildly entertaining, but there are a lot of elements about the film that don't make sense. So getting into the main plot, right? We know what the Crow is. We know what the Crow is about. From the very first time that we heard that they were trying to do a remake or a reimagining or whatever you want to call it, if you know the Crow story, then you pretty much know what to expect, right? You have a couple who's in love. Something tragic happens to both of them. For whatever reason, the person who becomes the Crow, their soul can't rest after the tragedy. So the Crow brings them back to life. They can't die. And then they avenge the death of their loved one, this and that, or whatever. To be quite honest, I wish that they would have not even tried to do this and took the premise of vengeance after death and turned it into something else, as opposed to putting it under the Crow brand. They should have done something completely different, because it's like you're calling this one thing and we're expecting one thing, but then it turns into a bunch of other random nonsense that just kind of misses the mark. So Bill Skarsgård is amazing, right? We know this. He's amazing. FKA Twigs does okay. I know she's a British songwriter, singer. I haven't seen her in any movies or shows before. She didn't do bad. She didn't do terrible. But I don't feel like they gave us a reason to really care about her. Even Bill Skarsgård's character, of course, Eric, why do we care, right? They try to rely on this, on telling us that they were in love, right? But they don't give us enough time to really care about the characters. So they meet when they're both in rehab, and when they leave rehab, they leave together and apparently fall in love. Now, we have no true notion of how much time has passed since they left rehab to the moment that they both die. Of course, this is not a spoiler. Again, if you know what the Crow is, then you know that that happens, or it's going to happen. And of course, the trailer, nowadays, the trailers give you everything. But I didn't feel the love, right? Not to be offensive, but it just felt like junkie escapades, basically. And throughout this high, drunken few days of random foolery, all of a sudden you're in love. I don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. Even in the original Crow, they didn't give us, to be honest, this movie gave us more of a setup between Eric and his girlfriend than the original Crow did. But for some reason, the original Crow works better. We get these random flashbacks pretty much throughout the movie showing us the love that they had. You know what I mean? With this film, there's not much to really draw us in and make us care enough. This film was basically like Immortal John Wick, for like the Immortal John Wick with a blade for the last 20 minutes or so. One of my favorite things that I actually liked about the original Crow is that from the moment Draven comes out of the grave, the Crow acts as his guide, right? I'm not gonna lie. At first I was like, oh, this is bullcrap. But it started to feel like a video game quest to a point. Like the Crow would fly here. Oh, there's some boots. He would fly here. Oh, there's a jacket. He would fly here. Oh, this is somebody you want to, take notice of. That's how the original Crow was. And that actually became kind of cool. But that Crow pretty much guided Draven throughout the entire film. The little guardian Crow in this one just felt random. They also added a different supernatural element here where
Danny Huston's
character is kind of like some sort of crossroads demon, basically. If you watch Supernatural, the show, then that's where I got that terminology from. But it seems the most fitting. He's basically a crossroads demon of sorts. And he's got this weird power. But what doesn't make sense about that part is that they played him up to, he's the antagonist in the film, but he's such a terrible antagonist. Now, Danny Huston is an amazing actor. That is not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to how he was written as a character. It seems so pointless. There's this huge buildup to the big bad, and it was the most anticlimactic meeting of the protagonist and antagonist that I have ever seen in my life. It was boring. Like, it was so boring. The clash was terrible. I'm honestly really speechless about how much this film misses the mark for what it was actually trying to do. So that does it for my review of The Crow 2024. Definitely don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And get down in those comments and let me know how you felt about the film. Are you going to wait for streaming? How do you feel about the original? And did you watch any of those weird sequels in the middle? But anyway, see you guys at the next one.